Basically, you've got 5 minutes per team. We've got a rough order. These guys are going first, and I've lost my list of who they are. Thank you. Who are they? These are Life Map. So Life Map will be first. We have 4 lovely judges. Marketta from Go On UK. Give us a wave. You all know who Marketta is, Matt. Excellent. Richard Surridge from the Post Office. Ben, who you've met already at the front. And Janet, who you've also met already from Westminster.
Hello.
So smile sweetly. We've got some lovely prizes. We have, in no particular order, an Xbox from Go On UK, so thank you to Marketta for that. A similar theme, we have a Lucky Voice karaoke party box. And a big thank you to Martha Lane Fox for that one. And we have, courtesy of O2, 2 tickets to see Robin at the Brixton Academy on the 1st of November. And then as well, we've got 45 solid state drives for speed up your netbooks and such. 45, yeah. I know.
Not to tell you the latest EY price of these products, and that there's just about one for everyone, but otherwise.
I think that's about 160 gig if I remember.
Thank you very much to our sponsors for this.
Yes, Charity Technology Trust, so you can give them lots of love on Twitter later. Thank you. We've also got quite a lot, and when I say quite a lot, several hundred Westminster City Council branded Safer Street.
So generous.
Do they come in any other colour?
You may decorate them. It's a very small logo, so you can design your own. The back is completely blank.
Janet's going down that chair. I'm so embarrassed. You couldn't make
Blue. Don't forget T-shirts at the back as well.
T-shirts at the back. So first up, it is Life Map. Over to you.
Actually, there's a lot of other people
Who should be here?
who should be here.
Would you like to defer and someone
No,
else? Or,
no.
Okay, that's cool.
You two.
Tim.
Can I just ask everybody to speak really loudly?
Yes, I will.
Because I can't hear.
Lewis and Tim. This is the team.
Hello, team.
Morty.
So, I've got 5 minutes. Chip in when I get things wrong. So our starting point really was to begin with, of course, user needs and try and match appropriate solutions. So we identified 3 challenges with the brief. The nature of the engagement, and from our understanding from both Ben and Rod, was that often what the outreach workers do when they go out looking for people who are sleeping rough is actually what happens is it feels like an interrogation. Who are you? What's your name? Where do you come from? Why are you sleeping? Why are you on the streets? It's very much an interrogation about the status of their homelessness, not really about what they want, what they feel, and what their desires are. So we identified one key thing, which is actually changing the nature of that engagement and trying to involve the clients in articulating their desires. The second one, we picked up on this low literacy level, and 56% of clients have trouble reading and writing, and obviously this is a huge barrier for confidence in using screens, the internet, in filling in forms. Basically, we wanted to get beyond text and into largely visual language. And the third thing was we understood that actually the outreach workers often set out with just a piece of paper with some questions on to ask clients about themselves. So we identified a need for tools that actually the outreach worker can use with the client. So very, very, very touch screen swipe, very, very easy to use, and that would also enable them to have the data from those encounters and cut down admin.
So coming in slightly, speaking from the homelessness sectors perspective. One of the things that, and speaking as a manager, one of the things that I have great difficulty is sometimes evidencing the work that's going on with the client. So it's hard to look at the effects of an intervention that we do, because our staff aren't comfortable in the administration side. So you know what I mean? I think that we use the term, my staff are people, not paper people. And a lot of the time, it's about making sure we have systems that mean that we can cut down on their administration, so I've got the evidence to be able to back up the support and the work that's going on.
So our solution, a universal interface, can be used across different devices, be used by different users. This would mean a much easier way for clients to identify their needs together with the outreach worker. A tracking tool for the outreach worker, reducing, as Rod says, a lot of the admin tasks. And a very familiar, this beginning to sort of have a familiar interface that then, if they've seen it on the street with the outreach worker, they then see the same familiar interface in the hostel, which means that they can step forward and just start touching it and engaging with the service levels behind everything. So we came up with something called LifeMap, which is very much, the name was very much about giving, sort of empowering the client to feel that they are actually engaging with a map to get their lives back on track. So from the point of view of the outreach worker, they would log in, they would then have something like an account page. And what we did was have a level 1 of very basic services or needs. Sorry, Rod, support needs. I'm just learning the language. And there is also a level 2, which is much more about a range of service provision, getting into sort of, you know, legal help, employment help. And then obviously they would have access to their own account of the clients that they had intervened with. Here is a map showing where they are and the people that they've spoken to in any one session, which would all form part of the history and the tracking. So the first thing would be, we talked quite a lot about ID, and we had ideas around a QR. The outreach worker would have a bunch of QR codes, and so because we talked a lot about, you know, the diffidence maybe that people would have in automatically giving name, address, date of birth, or not, sorry, not address, date of. So we did talk about ways of very easily having an idea, a bit like a sort of doctor's thing, which would just be a name and date of birth.
You're almost out of time. So.
I know. So here is the main thing. So we did a visual interface. These are the very basic needs. Things like, I need help, I need this respect, I want to feel safe, I want food, I want shelter, I want medical. Very important here, I need to speak to somebody in my own language. Maybe I want to go home. So that they was trying to get to some of these very, very core needs. Very briefly, the idea with the concept flow was on the street, the outreach worker and the client using this, getting data into the database. This then acts as a reporting tool back out to the outreach and the council service provision. But here is the familiar interface in the hostel whereby the individual client can track progress. And that was it. And very briefly, you guys really did get a very long way towards building some of this.
We went to try and prototype the same sort of ideas alongside these guys. We've got a good portion of it, mostly built as a REST platform on Python. We've got users that we then manage the states for, and we've versioned these states. And you can get in at the data and go back, and you could go through and see how data has changed over time, and this can get you some sort of analytics as how an area, the wants and needs of the homeless population within it has changed over time. The UI on top has then been built, sort of, coming towards the same sort of thing they've got in their designs there. It's a very minimal product, but yeah, it's something else.
But in 8 hours, we're very grateful you've managed to get this far.
Yeah.
Well done.
There's something on a website.
It's important to say all the icons, the pictograms you saw there, were taken from a website called the Noun Project, also the Noun Project on Twitter, and they're all Creative Commons, so you can use them and not abuse them, but attribute them.
And so the idea would be very much, you know, you would the client would be able to just swipe each icon into their own account area, and then that would act as a record of that intervention.
It doesn't actually work.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Any questions? Good.
Thank you.